You see that logo if you're watching on YouTube. If not, you hear that music, it's Bronze and Modern Gods. I don't have to tell you. It's got a title on it. You know what it is. Hey, welcome everybody. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Bronze and Modern Gods and give us a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave us a review if you're listening to us on a podcast platform today. Besides underrated books of the week, 25-year rule, hot book of the week, we're going to be talking about yet another DC Universe reboot. Richard. Again?
Oh, please.
That trick never works.
Wow, John, you're really just pulling out all these old references.
I know, I'm an old man, but I don't know. It seems, in case you guys haven't heard, DC this week announced their April 2023 solicitations, which sounds like it's a long time off, but it's going to be here before you know it. And they're bringing back a lot of the classic characters: Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, Superman, Connor, Superboy, Green Arrow, Oliver Queen. So it's kind of a back to basics approach that they're promoting, and we'll talk about it with our special guest, DC Universe expert Evan, our friend Evan, which you guys know as Dark Knave. But first, let's get it started, Richard, with our hot books plural of the week. Richard, start off with yours, which will surprise no one that listens to this podcast.
I am very predictable. My pick this week is Young Allies number 6, the Art Adams ratio variant from 2010. Everyone who watches this podcast knows it's one of my favorite books. It's got a really low print run. This was the last issue of a 6-issue series. It had lost lost all of its steam, to be honest with you, by this point. And this book, this was a gorgeous cover with Firestar in it, was the ratio variant for the 6th issue. It shows up every now and then on eBay. A couple of times a year, you can find a copy of this out there. Last week, a Raw showed up, which I looked at the pictures of it on eBay, and it was about an 8.5, maybe 9. And it went for $736 for this Raw, which
Nice.
I found fascinating. Yeah, that was a great, given the current market and how soft it is on pricing, a Raw going for that price is fantastic. The GPA numbers for it, the last sale for a 9.6 was in 2021 for $999. There was a sale for a 9.8 in 2020 for $700. So this book is a little all over the place. And part of the reason why is there's only 26 copies on the census, of which the 5 or 9/8, and there's one signed. I hope it's Art Adams signed. I would love to see that book. I've had a couple of these over the years. I've got one in my permanent collection currently. These are hard books to get in higher grade because of the cover. Spine ticks are almost inevitable on this cover. But it's a beautiful book. If you come across it, it's definitely something that will hold its value. I see it continuing to go up. And this is the reason why when you see Art Adams books, when he does these beautiful Google art covers, they draw attention and they draw sales because everyone wants to know which is going to be the next Young Allies number 6 in terms of value.
What is your highest graded one in your personal?
I have not. Mine is Raw. I have not graded it yet.
What would you think it is?
I would say it's probably a 9.4.
Would you pay over $1,000 for a 9.8?
Yes, for 9.8 graded. Yes.
Yeah. It's a tough book. My pick is not nearly as tough. In fact, it's probably easy to find, but it's probably one to get and put away for a while. And that is Spider-Woman number 5 from 1978. This is the first full appearance of Morgan Le Fay, the sorceress from King Arthur's court. You know her. She's rumored to be the antagonist for the upcoming Agatha Harkness Disney Plus series. And she's a classic Spider-Woman villain. And this is a great run. This early Spider-Woman with Marv Wolfman writing it and Carmine Infantino drawing it. And then Mark Gruenwald comes on. It just really kind of subverted what everybody thought a Spider-Woman comic book was going to be. It was very tinged with horror elements and very mysterious and spooky and ooky. Now, as a big nerd, I have to point out there was a robot Morgan Le Fay that appeared in the Bronze Age before this. Yes, in Skull the Slayer #4, there's a robot Morgan Le Fay. I don't even know what that sentence means, but I know it. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be the same character, but I do want to know Marv Wolfman, like I said, wrote Spider-Woman, introduced Morgan Le Fay there. He was also the creator and the editor of Skull the Slayer. So he obviously remembered this robot Morgan Le Fay. I don't know if there's a tie-in. They don't really look alike. For the Spider-Woman #5, high-grade copies of this book are selling on eBay now for about $15. This is another one. You go to your LCS and you start digging, you're going to find this probably for like $2-3. It's not a bad idea to take this one and put it away for a while. And when that Agatha trailer drops and you see it's Morgan Le Fay, that's when you sell it. Strike like a cobra.
I didn't know Marv Wolfman did Spider-Woman. That's amazing.
Yeah, Archie Goodwin wrote the first Spider-Woman story in Marvel Spotlight, and it was supposed to be just a one-off. Like, we got to secure this copyright. Somebody's going to make a cartoon. We got to beat them to it, and they did that. Problem was, and it's a great problem to have, is that it sold phenomenally well. So it was like, whoa, we got to give her her own book. And so Marv Wolfman had the task of cleaning everything up, because in the original story, she was actually a real spider that was evolved by the high evolutionary into a human. And it's like, for an ongoing, maybe not so much. So yeah, Marv Wolfman kicked off that book and got it going. It was an interesting read back in the Bronze Age. I quite liked it. Well, our main topic today, if you didn't already know, the dawn of DC, Richard. Dawn of DC. Wow. Again, I mean, I know we're old, but how many reboots have we been through with this company?
Yeah. And it's good. You know what? Well, the problem I have is we know this isn't going to be the last reboot. This has now become a part, as we'll talk about here in a minute, a cycle that the industry seems to be in.
And if we're going to talk about another reboot of the DC universe, we can't do it without one of two people. Sandy Resnick, our former DC Comics employee and friend. He's not on the show today, though. So we have the, I don't know, is it fair to call him DC Comics apologist?
I thought he was DC man on the street.
There it is. He's Evan. Hi, Evan. I tease because I see. Look, I'm wearing my little Japanese Batman.
I see that
from Yakuza Doc, our friend. Evan, all right. In case you guys haven't seen this press release yet, or it's actually the April 2023 solicitations that has dropped all of this upon us. And my first gut reaction, probably like yours and Richard's, was probably, again, really? Or were you excited? Tell us. You're a big DC fan. Tell us.
It's funny because on this show, I have said, quit getting rid of your superhero team flagship characters and replacing them with garbage. And this is it again, right? So the Justice League dies in Dark Crisis. Raise your hand if you thought they were dead forever. Exactly. So now, got to hit the reset button, because while they were gone, the other heroes stepped in, and now they're going to bring the flagship characters back. So it's the circle of life, John. Well, it's Crisis,
yes,
Aftermath,
right.
Reboot, run those stories into the ground, Crisis. It's around and around we go.
It's like fashion, there's a rule in fashion. If you wore it the first time, you can't wear it again when it comes back into vogue.
Right.
So like stonewashed jeans, we all wore them the first time around. We can't wear them now.
Exactly.
That's initially how I felt. But then the more I thought about it, I thought, you know what? It needs this.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of interested in picking some of these books up now. I know, they got me with New 52. I got on board then.
Yep.
They got me with Rebirth. I Christopher Priest on Deathstroke. I'm in. So I don't know, Richard. What do you think?
No, I think DC had to do something. They were obviously the direction they were going in was not resulting in sales that were sustainable. So to me, stripping everything and going back to the Trinity and the original characters or the strong characters, because you can't call John Stewart as an original character, but the strong characters of the genre and focusing on them instead of on alternative characters. I think it's a good move for them. We'll see.
A lot of the solicitation phrasing uses back to basics.
Sure.
Back to basics. All right. But what does that mean? There's been so many basics. Okay, so John Stewart's going to get it back to basics. Does that mean he's going to be an architect again? I don't think so.
Or the soldier. He's
Yeah.
a soldier too. Don't forget.
Remember, with the basics, he was an architect.
Yeah.
So,
but you see how Jordan is like coming back to Earth, and he's going to be a superhero again instead of a space cop. And I wonder if a lot of this has to do with, and if it does, then it's super smart, getting the new guys to lead the DCEU, right? Like the entertainment division, live action stuff that James Gunn is all over, and Safran, because if you want people to like those movies and shows, then you have to get them to know the flagship characters again, right? Which is where I think Marvel is having a weird moment, because they're doing literally the opposite. So in all of their shows and movies, they're moving away from the flagship characters into phase 4, which is a mixed bag, and people are iffy on.
You could argue that's, well, we don't have to get in the Marvel thing, but
Sure.
Iron Man was not a flagship character, and he was definitely part of it. Blade was not a flagship character.
Well, no, the Marvel Trinity is Cap, Thor, Iron Man.
For sure. Well, here's what is interesting to me. You have a really good point, Evan, that this is editorially driven. Big shockers, editorial driving what's happening in publishing. But the fact that they're announcing books and concepts with no creative teams attached yet to some of these books, like Cyborg's description, is Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths forever changed Victor Stone. And now, as the dawn of DC rises, he might just hold the secret to Earth's future.
Right.
Due in May, writer and artist to be determined.
Right.
Wait.
That's right. Yeah.
Some really cool stuff's going to happen as soon as we find a writer and an artist.
What Vic Stone's going to change for what? He's going to quit whining? Oh, wow. That's going to be the best thing that ever happened to that character. The question I'm going to put to both of you, and either one of you jump in on this one. Which book out of all of these new titles are you most excited about?
Go ahead, Rich.
Me, I am a huge Green Lantern fan. I'm interested in both seeing how they separate Hal Jordan from his history and make him an acceptable character again. And I'd like to see how they bring John Stewart along too and have both titles. So that's kind of what I'm interested in seeing.
And it's super important to the Green Lantern show that's coming out. Don't forget.
But when you say both titles, like it's going to be a struggle for them to have two Green Lantern titles. They had 4 at one point. Let's remember that.
That's probably true. Yeah. I'm going to say Doom Patrol, and I'm going to say Doom Patrol because you mentioned it earlier. Like, they have this great show that is super kooky and really cool. They haven't really capitalized on it. And Doom Patrol is one of those books where it's almost like Justice Society or Legion of Superheroes, where like they forget about them for a while and then they go, oh, that's right, we have Doom Patrol or Legion of Superheroes or whatever. We should probably bring them back. And so I'll be curious to see.
All three of those have something in common: Legion, Doom Patrol, and Justice Society. They cannot sustain an ongoing title for more than 5 years.
Totally. Oh yeah, and we'll talk about the Justice Society in a second because there's another event coming up too. But we'll see. Like I personally love the Doom Patrol. I don't know if everyone's going to catch. Well, who knows? Now that the show's out, maybe more people know who they are. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
If the Gerard Way run couldn't catch on, I mean, you've
True.
got My Chem Romance guy writing Doom Patrol, and it's good, and it looks great, and it's still not able to sustain an audience. I love the Doom Patrol. Don't get me wrong. From My Greatest Adventure through the Grant Morrison years, you lost me at Rachel Pollack. Sorry, but and the Burn Run. Oof, 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 oof.
Yeah.
The one I'm most excited about. And I'm shocked that neither one of you said this because I thought I was going to have some agreement here, is the new Shazam title.
Yeah.
Because it's Mark Waid.
Yeah, but I mean, Shazam really hasn't been out of play for very long because he got locked into the Rock of Eternity at the end of Titans Academy, which wasn't that long ago. So, I mean, and he's got a new movie coming out, which means you got to release him again, tie things to the movies and the shows, right? So, but it hasn't been as big a gap as like a Doom Patrol. So
Yeah.
it's not as big a shocker to me.
But just listen to the solicitation, okay? Billy Batson, yes, thank you, is back as the champion in the action comedy comic about a boy with powers that rival Superman's and a whole lot of growing up left to do. We'll see Shazam hanging out at the Rock of Eternity, his secret clubhouse that can travel through space and time, as well as punching dinosaurs in the face, seeing how long he can hold his breath on the moon, and getting into wild and fun adventures with his tiger, Talkie Tawny, by his side. First of all, that is some mangled grammatical English.
Yeah.
Someone needs an editor for sure.
Yeah.
It reads like an issue out of the 50s to me. No,
Right.
don't get me wrong. It's Golden Age is great. I just the more comical aspect of Shazam, I don't enjoy for the character, but I understand it's a core part of the character. That's its origin. So that's why I didn't pick it.
The Jerry Ordway run from the 90s?
No.
The Power of Shazam. It kind of, Evan's smiling because I think you know what I'm going to go ahead, Evan.
No, go ahead. You can say it.
It sounds like this pitch. It was comedic, but it was serious at times. Talkie Tawny was his sidekick in that series. It was really well done, and it was a nice balance. Just overall, if DC Comics wants to get one up on Marvel real quick, they'll have quiet stories like this that aren't event. The stakes are the multiverse.
Right.
When's the last time you
breaking the internet?
Yeah. When's the last time you picked up a comic and saw the protagonist go out on a date with his love interest?
Okay, let's be clear though. This is certainly less creepy than when they tried to pair up Shazam with Stargirl, which was real creepy because no one knew he was a kid.
Right.
And so they saw this adult like with Stark. It was very weird, very uncomfortable.
But I just mean, you remember, you guys that were old enough, you pick up a copy of Uncanny X-Men and they'd have their softball game.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Character building moments that we don't get anymore, at least from Marvel. You don't get them at all anymore. I can't tell you the last time an issue, Mark Grunwald was writing the book when Captain America was in a romance with Diamondback and they went out for a date and they got attacked by the Serpent Society, stuff like that. So if they really want to capture an audience anew, let's get some Hal Jordan. Is he going to be a swinging Lothario driving a semi like the CB truck?
No, I will say this. If you're digging the Shazam thing, I alluded to it before, DC's also going to release it's not really an event, but they're releasing a load of characters who come from the Golden Age who have been forgotten. So think like the Sentry, right? Like they're going to retcon these guys in, kind of like now that they're bringing the Justice Society back, who apparently everyone forgot about, and the Crisis is bringing them back out again. There's going to be a handful of these characters who, oh no, they've always been there. You guys just forgot who they were. And probably the two most interesting to me are Jay Garrick's daughter, Boom, is in this. And then this is going to be real interesting, especially for you, Rich. The Golden Age Red Lantern is one of the characters. So they're going to bring the Spectrum in, but no. It's always been there. Not since, the Brightest Day, Darkest Night stuff. So but it feels to me, at least what I've seen from the solicitation so far, it's like that kooky 50s, 60s golden age vibe.
All right.
I'm
I'll let them
interested.
get the Red Lantern in as long as it's Guy Gardner. If it's Guy, I think
It's not.
no.
So they're not going to take the opportunity with new golden age characters to do trademark preservation comics. Like there's not going to be a new Red Tornado or
Not that I know of.
Man.
Yeah. Well, James Gunn tweeting a picture of Mr. Terrific for no reason.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, I don't know. I just thought I'd throw it out there because it's not like you can go find their old issues because they're all going to be brand new characters, but it might be something to jump in on at the ground level because some of them kind of look cool. I don't know.
Do you guys, have you heard anything? Is there going to be any culling of the line? I mean, are one of the 47 Batman books going to be canceled to make way for this?
Not that I've heard of.
Not
In fact,
that
we have a new Batman that has had his own book for a while, Jace. So I mean,
we have 2 new Batman titles announced in this new wave: Batman Brave and the Bold, which, knock on wood, is going to be a team up title, and the Penguin, because there's such an ongoing demand for the Penguin to have his own series.
Of course.
Well, that's because of Gotham. I think. I hope they pare down because I think part of their problem is dilution because of too many titles. They really need to focus on certain characters and focus on the stories and make those books good, and then maybe build up additional books. But right now, I think they're fighting for their corporate life at this point, and they really need to focus on a smaller number of titles.
It's the circle of life. They're going to have a crisis, and then it's
like Apple. When Apple, had a gazillion different models of things, and then Steve Jobs came in and he eliminated everything. There was one laptop, one desktop, and we build on that, and that's how he turned the company around.
Yeah, I just read a huge article about how Marvel fans are feeling that way about the MCU almost. Too much, like everything's coming at you. It's hard to keep up. And it's weirdly DC fans, because they asked them in the same poll, they want their universe to be completely disconnected. So all the stuff Gunn is doing, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But to your point, too much content, be it shows, TV, comic books, titles, like you can't keep up. Like my wallet won't be able to, and I love both Marvel and DC, so my wallet has been taking a hit lately as it is, but I can't keep up with that much stuff. I just can't.
Well, first of all, let's pour 40 for the Apple Newton.
Wow. You know how long ago that was, John?
I know, I'm old. Evan, help me out here, because you're still firmly entrenched in the DC Comics world. We have Superman.
Yep.
Who has 2 ongoing titles, Superman and Action Comics, right?
Yes, Superman is not him, though. It's his son, but yes.
Okay, that's what I'm asking is Adventures of Superman John Kent is going to be what then? Is that replacing the Superman title?
That's my understanding, yes. So John will continue to have his own book.
And then meanwhile, friggin' Connor Kent, the clone Superboy, gets his own book.
Yeah.
Here's the dilution again. Can we give these guys new names?
Well, and interestingly, from what I'm hearing, I just read it again earlier today. DC is calling him the Twink of Steel.
Hey.
Now here's the interesting thing.
Wait. Richard. Evan.
Uh-oh. What did I miss?
Who coined that phrase?
Yes, John has called him Super Twink since
I've been calling him Super Twink since issue 1.
So interestingly enough, but here's the thing. So if they're calling Connor the Twink of Steel, but Jonathan Kent is also
that's who I was calling Super Twink.
No. So that's what I'm saying. Now they're going to be. Are they both? It's. I don't know. DC's all over the place.
Okay, Superman and his son I can get. The clone I think is going too far. At least,
especially considering he's a very active member of Titans. He's on the TV show. That TV show is doing well. Like, just leave it be. Some of these guys can just be on a team book. They do not need their own book. And I don't know, John might thrash me here, but stop trying to give Green Arrow his own book too. Like,
yeah. Again, Green Arrow, I liked it back in the day. I read the Grell run. I read a bit of the Kevin Smith run, when it came out, 9 months between issues. And then I'm like, oh, Green Arrow, street level hero, Seattle, that's kind of what we need now. Get back to basics. Here's the description, the solicitation for the Green Arrow title. Oliver Queen has been lost since Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. Oh, Jesus. And his family is determined to find him, but there are dangerous forces just as determined to keep them apart at any cost. So now, like, Green Arrow has fallen up for the Spider-Man syndrome, where, instead of being a street level hero fighting crime and bank robbers, he's involved in multi-dimensional mysteries. Why? He has a bow and arrow, people.
Yeah. Well, and he has 18 people in the Arrow family now, so it's just as bad as the Bat family anymore. And he's just one of those guys that works better in a team. Black Canaries like that, Red Tornadoes like that. Like, put them in teams and leave them be.
Wasn't his son named Connor too?
Connor Hawk, yeah.
What's with the name Connor in DC Kids? Connor Kent, Connor Hawk. All right. Is anyone excited for Steelworks?
No.
All right. Moving on. Is anybody out there? Tell us in the comments. Is anybody like a big John Henry Irons fan that's like, yeah, you gotta bring Steel back? I mean,
well, isn't Wildstorm coming into the DC universe proper? So you're gonna have that. I know, because they need more titles. More titles. Must have more titles.
I know it sounds like we're tearing this apart, and I don't mean to. I'm actually kind of happy this is happening. I'm kind of excited because I do love some of these characters, and I want to see them succeed, and I want to be able to read a good comic book. Like I said earlier, the Shazam one's got me really. I'm going to add that to my pull list this week. Sit and wait until April. But Doom Patrol I'll sample. I might sample Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, just to see which Hal Jordan they pick.
Right.
And then you've got the 90 other Batman titles, I guess.
Yeah. But truth be told, this is my favorite part of the DC circle of life, is when the dark heavy crisis is over, and then somebody editorially says we need to lighten things up.
Thank God.
They bring everything back up, and everything looks like it's going really well, and then it only lasts so long, and then the downswing will happen, and we'll be back in it again. But these are the moments that I actually really enjoy, the post-crisis upswing, I guess I'll call it.
Richard, what were you going to say?
No, I'm just glad that DC recognized that there was a problem and are taking actions to correct it. I just hope they go far enough. I mean, Elon Musk got rid of the majority of his company to fix his problems.
Is that the best example?
I'm sorry, did you say fix? Fix his problems?
Well, fix to his standards. Let's put it that way. No, okay. My point basically is I hope DC has the foresight to cut deep enough to make significant changes, to change directions, as opposed to just putting lipstick on a pig and just keeping the same course that they've been going down. So we'll see. These titles will be interesting, and we'll see where they lead DC. But where they were going was not working, obviously.
Richard,
yeah, I'm with you, Rich. Though I'm rooting for Green Lantern to be on the upswing, because the last time they tried to do anything with the lanterns, they destroyed the main power battery, and so none of their rings were working. And so why am I reading this Green Lantern title where no one has any powers? So I'm with you. I hope they do something well with it, because I'm rooting for the show too, and I know you are too. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm. There is a graphic that was released or leaked. I'm not sure if it was officially released, or that shows kind of like a timeline of April, May, and June with all these different iconic logos. And in June, it shows the Black Hawk logo. So I'm kind of excited for that. No Legion yet.
Interesting.
Legion
I know.
Yet.
Yeah,
I know Legion would be amazing.
it would be. It's a tough sell. The characters. We'll see. You know me. I'm a huge Legion fan, so I'm
It's
rooting for it.
it's about hope and optimism. We need it more than ever. The story, Evan, you told about the dark going into the light in that circle of life, it reminds me of a story that I don't think I've ever told on this podcast. I was working at Warner Music Group, and we shared a commissary with the DC Burbank office and the Warner Brothers studio lot. So one day I'm in the commissary and I'm reading a copy of Back Issue magazine, right? Fanzine about the Bronze Age. And, it's got some DC characters on the cover. And I'm just like eating my lunch, reading my funny book fanzine. And these two guys walk up, and this, younger guy in his 30s and an older gentleman. And he's like, "Oh, do you read comics?" And I said, Yeah, I do. I'm kind of still a big kid, been reading since I was 5 years old. And he goes, "What do you read?" And I said, "I read Marvel mostly. You don't read any DC?" And I said, "No, it's way too dark and depressing. I mean, I used to, and in the 80s, I was a big DC guy. I loved all the Jeanette Kahn era stuff, and it was great. And now it's just dark, depressing, and just so overbearingly bleak." And the guy went, "Well, I write a book for DC. You should check it out sometime, because I think you'd like it, because it actually is hearkening back to that kind of more optimistic era. It's called The Flash. My name's Jeff Johns."
Oh. Is that Rebirth time frame?
No, this was before New 50.
Oh, way before.
Yeah. Okay. This is like 2011, 2012. Maybe it was after that. I don't know. The timeline's all muddy. But it was just so funny. I'm sitting here just trashing the guys, because he was, I think, the chief creative officer at the time.
That's hilarious.
Crashing the entire line. And I just so you guys know, in the audience there, I would never do that to a creator if I knew. I would never be rude like that. But he asked, and I didn't know who he was.
But honestly, you're not wrong. Like, every time they do one of these, they're so dark. The death metal was heavy, dark stuff. It's rough, and that's why I like the other side of it, because somebody says this is too much, and we need to get back to the fun stuff.
I don't mind dark. But it has to be one color in your palette. It cannot be your entire palette.
Right.
You cannot have, your little painter's smock and your little easel with nothing but grays, browns, and blacks. You've got to have something there. There was a point where even Shazam was like this dark book. You've got Mary Marvel is evil. Mary Marvel.
Deceased.
Right.
Deceased. Everybody's zombies or
right.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the optimism here with this relaunch. Richard, any one of these books you're going to pick up?
Like I said, I'm definitely picking up the Green Lanterns. Brave and the Bold, I'm really excited about too.
You like a good team up book?
Yeah, I like team up books. I think Batman does well when he has somebody to play off of. So I'm really interested in seeing who they team him up with.
Evan, buying the entire line or picking and choosing?
It'll probably be a lot more than Rich, but it probably won't be all of it. Definitely interested in Brave and the Bold. It would be cool if they went back to that like 70s. It's a different person he teams up with every issue thing. That would be fun, right? That would be really cool, instead of like storylines with the same two guys over and over again. Doom Patrol, obviously, the Superman stuff, of course, the Batman stuff, of course. The rest of it will probably be me standing in a comic book store, holding it in my hand and going, or do I do the typical buy all the number ones and let it all shake out, see which ones are better?
This ain't no library, kid. You either buy it or you get out.
I'm sorry. Cyborg is still a member of the Titans in my mind. So
totally. Yes.
He's not Vic Stone anymore. I noticed he's Victor Stone.
Victor Stone, right?
Yes. So okay.
You, John? You?
Oh, definitely Steelworks and the Penguin. No, it's definitely Shazam, Doom
Yep.
Patrol. I have to sample the Doom Patrol every time there's a new Doom Patrol. I gotta at least sample it. And I am kind of interested in, even though I just kind of trashed it, I am kind of interested in Green Arrow to see if they, by the end of issue 1, they wipe away all this multiverse Dark Crisis stuff, and he's in Seattle and it's raining, and he's got a quiver and a bow and an arrow.
And does he say, "You have failed this city"? Does he say that a lot?
I don't know, but the minute a boxing glove arrow comes out, I'm subscribing.
Oh my god, that's so perfect. That would be perfect.
I know. Evan, thank you so much for joining us again. Thanks for giving us your insight to these two MCU diehards. Maybe we'll dip into the DCU pool a little bit more and see if the water is cold or if it's lukewarm. Then this metaphor is going nowhere. Thanks, Evan.
Absolutely. I'm always here if you guys need me.
How often do these reboots for the DCU happen, Richard? Do they happen every... I was going to say 25 years, but they happen a lot more frequently than that.
25 months.
It's a 25-month rule. Yes, 1997, 25-year rule, where we go back to 1997 and talk about the books that made your childhood and makes you want to go re-buy them in a fit of nostalgia. That is the 25-year rule. Richard, you picked this one.
Yeah, I picked Spawn #1, the black and white from 1997. This was a retailer incentive for Spawn number 65, with each LCS getting one for every 50 books that they ordered. So that means, given a print run of about 165,000, which was a bump from the previous month and the subsequent month as well, people were padding their orders to get these. So there's 165,000. So divide that by 50. You've got about 3,300 books total that could be in existence. But remember, not every retailer ordered 50 copies of this book just to get that retailer incentive. So there's definitely going to be less than that 3,300 out there. On the census, this book, there are 166 9.8s out of 1,001 books that have been graded. And like I said, this is a really popular book for McFarlane signings. It's a harder book to come by than Spawn #1, the A cover. It's more difficult to come than the newsstand for Spawn #1 as well. The last sale for this book back in November, because that's where we are now, for 9.8 sold for $3,200. The last signed 9.8, which is from May, went for $3,500. So the Todd father, he definitely gets his due from his signature. And that's one of the reasons why this book is very popular. People like to send it in to CGC for Todd McFarlane signings. So but there's a huge gap between the 9.8s and the 9.6s. Normally it's, the 9.6s will come in, 9.8s will be about double. But this book, the last 9.6 sale was only $690 for, and comparing it to a 3,200 9.8. So I personally think the 9.6 is the way to go here. I think the pricing on it makes it a bargain.
Wow, this is an early ratio variant, huh? I wouldn't even call it a ratio variant because it was a free book for ordering 50 copies of a book. First of all, I'm shocked that Spawn was still selling 130,000 or so copies.
and issue number 65.
Yeah, in 1997, when the market was so
that's cool.
No, good for Todd. Yeah, interesting, good pick. And hey, talking about the market and the fluctuations, it's been a couple weeks. It's time to check in with Ali from Elite_Comics11 with the Instagram Market Watch. And here he is now. Everybody say hello to Ali from Elite_Comics11 on Instagram. Hello, Ali.
Hey, John and Richard. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Okay. We had a couple weeks off. I know. Okay, we're fine.
We're good.
Yeah, I'm going to let Richard take this one because I always feel like I'm leading this segment, and Richard is my co-host. He needs to feel some power. Feel the power.
Co-hosty, yeah. We're going to start off with first of all, Ali, we brought some great books this time. I picked 3 that were my favorites. Starting off with Hulk 181. It's an off-white to white 8.0. Looks like a really, really nice book. Nice wrap on it.
These are a few highlights of books that have sold recently on Elite Comics 11 on Instagram. So we're the platform's premier consignment page, and yeah, that was a beauty. So that Hulk 181 8.0 off-white to white, it sold for $5,999. So basically $6,000. You got some data on that, Richard?
Yeah, the 90-day for that book is 69.06.
Oh,
but the last sale is 69.30. So its book is trending up slightly.
Yeah, we're gonna have. There's a general theme right now. Everyone knows like some prices have cooled lately, for the most part. So people picking up some really good deals. A lot of people are buying, the dip, as it were, or kind of some price slowdown. So people are picking up good deals. The prices are right on our page always, but it also doesn't hurt to make an offer. So yeah, I mean, there's obviously some energy around this book, and it's but somebody got a sweet deal on a sweet copy there. So
second appearance of Wolverine.
Yeah, except when people are selling it, it seems to be the first appearance, and then when they're selling a 180, then that's the first appearance.
Exactly.
No, you're right about buying the dip. I think this book is destined to increase in value over time, given that Hugh Jackman is guaranteed to be Wolverine again. And as we get closer to some realization for Deadpool #3, I think this book is going to spike. So
what's left to see though? Like, I think it's the thing I'm waiting to see is I want to see Wolverine in the OG suit. Like I want to see that. Like that. Yeah. That's what I'm waiting for.
I'm sure. I can't. Kevin Feige can't let us down because I think I think everybody's waiting to see him in the yellow suit.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, we got Daredevil in the yellow, so maybe we'll see. Yeah.
All right, so the next book, this is a Todd McFarlane classic. I know there's some VV fans out there, so this is the inspiration for the Todd statue, but it's also just an awesome Todd Grail in the physical world. This is Batman 42398. This book has really gotten hot, and it's staying pretty hot. I mean, this one sold for basically $2,000, $1,999.
You just give the seller an extra buck just to round these things up.
Yeah, no, it's So you got some data on that one? I think that was a beauty.
Yeah, the 90-day for this book was 26.23. The last sale was 1946.
Okay.
Don't know what paper quality with that book was, but no, I think this sale was right on point.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of Todd energy right now. I think the CGC signing was part of that, and just general Todd appreciation. I think the Spawn movie moving forward too was exciting for people. So
there's always BTE.
What?
BTE?
What is that? I'm scared of. What is that?
Big Todd energy. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Todd energy. No, they're fans of Todd who will buy. These books are just staples for them. They'll buy these books left and right. And when you get a nice quality 9.8, it was sure to sell.
Yeah, didn't last long. All right, so the last one for today, it's Giant Size X-Men #1 in 8.0. This one had off-white to white pages, and this sold on Elite Comics 11, 4,500. Richard, what does the data look like on that?
The 90-day for this is 51.73, with the last sale about 4,700. This is another strong book. This is a strong X-Men book. We talked about Hulk 181 being a strong Hulk or Wolverine book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guaranteed if we see Wolverine, we're going to see the X-Men. We're going to see Professor X, and even though he's dead technically, So no, this is a great pickup. I think again, buy the dip because the 90 was 51.73. I looked at the 12-month; it was in the 7,500s. So I think we've reached the bottom of the curve for this book, and I think it's going to have momentum and go up in value.
This is one of those books. If I ever see it like 8.5 or below, I always look at it. I blow up the pictures as much as I can, and I look to see if it's improvable, because a lot of people just don't clean they have not cleaned this book. They haven't gotten the staple dimples out of the front cover that you can press out pretty easily if you know what you're doing. So whenever I see 8.5 or below, I always blow up the picture and take a look and think, hey, am I going to roll the dice on this one?
Yeah,
because
you had a 9.
I had a 9.4 that I bought as a 7.5. Remember?
Yes, I do.
So, I've had success with this in the past.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, because of that jumbo binding, a lot of people just don't even bother to try to get it worked on because it's kind of, you have to know what you're doing. But yeah, there's a lot you could actually do with those to improve grades if you have the right presser. So,
and this is a book that I don't feel guilty about slabbing because it's been reprinted 8 gajillion times. So if you really want to read it and you want to keep it raw, there's a billion opportunities for you to read this book, complete with the ads. Just add your own smell. Somebody in the comments had a good comment about Bath and Body Works. They should be selling old comic book smell product.
Yeah, Marvel did facsimiles of all 3 of the, well, Marvel did facsimiles of the 2, and I believe there's a facsimile of the DC book as well.
Which DC book? Oh, the Batman 423.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, there's also the figure that you can buy, the statue that comes with the reprint of that book.
Yeah.
There's a second print of that book.
There's a third print of it as well.
Third print of that book. Is there a DCU variant of Batman 423? I wonder. Oh, Ali's here. Hi, Ali.
yeah. So so anyways, if you guys if anybody needs help buying or selling comics, don't be shy. Send us a DM at elite_comics11 on Instagram. You guys can constantly see books being posted for sale. We're constantly helping people sell their books, and we have a live show where you could buy books from dealers across the country almost every day. So check us out.
And how was AtCon this year? I was in Mexico, so I missed a lot of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm sure you had a good time in Mexico. But while you're in Mexico, we had 5 days of live stream sales, just jam packed. The last day was our secret revelation. It was a 24-hour live sale.
Oh,
we actually stayed on the air for 24 hours. We partnered up with dealers across the world. We had the British come in the early morning hours. I have a friend of mine who's a big collector off the coast of Japan. So he actually came on in the middle of the night when it was his daytime. So it was just phenomenal. Just the turnout was incredible. People were picking up things constantly. Just a ton of positive feedback. It was a great moment for the community, I think. So, the virtual convention AtCon, it just was really something special. So thank you.
Were you up all 24 hours? Were you?
I did sneak in about 4.5, 5 hours of sleep during the 24-hour sale. It was a team effort for sure. Because before we got to that 24-hour sale on the last day, we also did Saturday. So we basically did 12 hours of streaming before we even got to the beginning of the 24-hour sale. So it's really like a 36-hour. But then there was also there was a change in the time. The clocks moved back. So it was actually like, I don't even know. It was like 38 hours.
Well, luckily I was tipped off beforehand, and I bought stock.
Margaritas and tacos like on some beach somewhere.
I bought stock in Red Bull before your. I am sitting pretty right now with the increase in Red Bull sales over that 36-hour period. No, very impressive. And if you guys are not following Ali and the gang there at elite_comics11, you really should, because it's time to buy. I mean, the price
It really is.
There are some really good deals out there right now. And I mean, we just talked about, those are books. They're not going away, and people are paying a lot less than they were. So
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Ali. We will see you next time.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ali. And now it is time for our underrated books of the week. Richard, I'm going first. Haha. My underrated book this week is Grimjack number 26. What? First Comics, another independent? Yes, this is the first appearance of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in color.
Oh.
Ooh. They appeared in the backup strip that used to run in Grimjack. It was called Munden's Bar, and it took place in Munden's Bar, which is where Grimjack hung out. The Turtles visit Munden's Bar, and it was written and drawn by Eastman and Laird in color. So here was a hidden Turtles key that not a lot of people may know about. Judging from the prices, near mint copies on eBay can be had for $5 or $6. I think this is a no-brainer. CGC 9.8 sold this last February for $125 Richard.
Wow, I'm going to have to add this to my list of books to look out for.
This is one you got to go to the dollar bins and do a little digging and get the gray dirt all over your fingers when you go home and you see your fingertips and they're like, oh, geez, I better wash up. Well, hey, that's disgusting. Grimjack 26, first Turtles in color.
That went dark
real
quick.
I know. Richard, what is your underrated book of the week?
Mine is kind of a cheat. I was watching TV this weekend, and a Robocop came on, the original Robocop, not the 2014 one, but the original one. And to me, I love that movie. It's so schlocky and it's so over the top 90s that it's just a great book. I guess it's late 80s, let's say. So I looked up, and the Robocop comics, his first appearance is in Robocop number 1 in 1987. It's fairly, I'm not going to say that it's rare, but there are only 18 books on the census, so of which 5 of them are 9.8s. So that either means that it's hard to come by, or it means people just don't care. I have a feeling it's probably a mixture of both. But a 9.8 for the book went for $552 here recently, which is unbelievable. And there is on the census a newsstand copy of this book with a double cover, 9.8. It went for $5,000 in September.
I'll buy that for $5,000.
It's such an iconic movie. It's they did do another movie version of it in 2014. Just because the character is it's an important character in that schlocky movie type of genre, and so I could easily see them doing another one sometime in the future. But just in general, if you're a fan of the late 80s and poofy hair and the city of Detroit. This is a great movie.
You say schlocky, and I'm curious. You didn't notice one of our favorite comics is really ripped off in this movie. I was going to say influential, but it's just a blatant ripoff. You don't think RoboCop stole a lot from American Flag?
Yeah, and I never thought of that. That's dystopian type of universe.
Where
Yeah,
TV
that's a good
is
point.
king and the media and I quite enjoyed RoboCop, but I remember watching it going, boy, I hope Howard Chaykin's getting paid. I hope they threw him a few bones for this.
Yeah,
We've
talked before. Yeah, it does. It has a lot of influences. Yeah, definitely. But it's a great. First of all, if you're young enough to not watch RoboCop, watch RoboCop. It's don't watch the second one. Watch the first one. It is well worth the time. Get yourself some popcorn and just suspend disbelief for a while and enjoy the movie.
Get ready to laugh. It's sarcastic. It is smarmy. It is I guess it is schlocky, but I quite enjoy RoboCop. I thought it was a real satirical take on those kind of schlocky cop movies and everything. I thought I had a point of view that was stolen from Howard Chaykin, but a point of view nonetheless.
Yeah, we know this is as close we're going to get. They're never going to make an American flag movie, so this is as close as we're going to get.
Never say never. All right. That's going to wrap it up for this week. Everybody, please follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Bronze and Modern Gods. Richard, if they like this video, what should they do?
They should like and subscribe and hit the little notification bell too, because every now and then we go live and make fools of ourselves. If you want to be a part of that, the notification bells will give you a heads up.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Everybody stay safe.